Hoo-ah!
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, Algarve. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Now, sorry about the late start and the slightly ragged entry. Who doesn't like? I don't. Well, I'm thinking to myself, you wouldn't have heard that anyway. I'm guessing when you press the button to watch, you're not joining me with the this morning with the sound effect debacle. But let me know when you press the button to join the show, what happens? Do you join it a few seconds later? What's the timestamp as you come in? Because I'm here right from the beginning. I have to be. It's just the way it works. But I wonder what that's like as an experience for you. I've never asked after hundreds, if not thousands of shows like this. I'm not sure what happens from your point of view as the user experience. And I'm also aware that people might be watching and they do go back to the beginning. So they're watching maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, than everybody else, because I sometimes see comments coming in and they're talking about something from a little bit earlier on in the show. Very interesting. Let me know what your user experience is like if you are, and more importantly, let me know how you are today. If you are a Bon Dia Portugal from the rooftops, if you're feeling like this, let's do one of these this morning. Let's go to Michael. Are you feeling like this?
Bom dia, Portugal!
And he may have even heard that in Madrid, where I believe he is at the moment. Do you feel like that, or are you feeling like the sound effect I played a little bit earlier on this morning? Yeah, a very interesting set of conversational threads or conversational hairs were set coursing yesterday, were they not, on the show? We talked about depression, ketamine, comfort food, beer. A very interesting, far-ranging show. Jackie from Expats Portugal joined us for her usual 5 or 10 minutes and was with us an hour later. We'll be with the Expats Portugal crew tonight, of course, at 7:30. And a very special event tonight, not last night, a very special event. Did I have a special event last night? Yes, I did. Portuguese language and culture tonight with Filomena over on Expats Portugal. And I'll give you a link so that you can find that if you want to join us. Always good fun and great value chatting with Filomena. Oh, yeah. And on that note, I have published do you remember she spoke to a pilgrim on the Azores Islands on San Miguel there, a certain Senor Roberto, who was doing the Rua Maria pilgrimage. And he talks about that. He talks about it in Portuguese, of course, and she has created a translation for us. And I think a few people are appreciating that. I think, Jackie, you were saying how much you enjoyed that. So good morning to you, Jackie. Good to see you. Bon dia. Also, see you tonight with Filomena, perhaps. Let us know how you're doing this morning and send any Bon Dia Portugals you might have to 913-590-303. Nice to see a brace of dad jokes from Pete. And I'm sure I have to read them first before committing them vocally to the community this morning. They look pretty good. The ones I've seen there, very good. Pete, have you been collecting those? Or were you going through the old Christmas crackers from last year? Not sure, but we'll be reading those. And thank you very much to James, of course, with the Bom Dia Gumpers. Feliz quinta a todos. Que tem feito? How's it going with the Portuguese? Quinta-feira. Hoje is Thursday today. Mindful moment with James N. Now and then. Oh, a nice fresh one. Thanks. Very mindful. In fact, thank you, James. Oh, and of course, our regular guests, Fabrizio and Ian, usually in Lisbon, talking to us from Lisbon, the Italian and Brummie combo that is Fabrizio and Ian. They're actually in Madeira at the moment, and I've got some pics to share with you about their trip over there. And of course, Alyson Sheldrake joining us at around 9:30 this morning, and a couple of extra guests. Josh Kalden's joining us. He's the ukulele player you may have seen at our meetup many years ago, who was dueling with Don, the mandolin player, dueling Don, the mandolin player. Good to see you yesterday, Don, and everyone else at the meetup yesterday, Wednesday, here in Sao Martinho Do Porto. Had a few mugs. Great. I was very glad to get the mugs from Siobhan, and a few people went away with mugs in their hands yesterday. Nice, easygoing atmosphere, and a couple of, at least four new people are joining us as well at the meetup. So very nice to see you. Nice, easygoing, informal meetup that we have at the Palmeira Cafe here in Sao Martinho Do Porto on the Silver Coast. You are most welcome. Good to meet the combo who are Turabunga, who are American YouTubers talking about their life here in Portugal as well. Good to meet you, Michael. Oh, forgive me. I forgot. Oh, your name is on the tip of my tongue. Lovely lady, Michael's partner, Melissa, I believe. You'll have to go to Turabunga to confirm that. Okay, so Josh Kalden, and whilst I show you the pictures of Fabrizio and Ian in Madeira, I'll be playing the music of Bob Yonker, who's also joining us this morning in the first segment of the show after 9 o'clock. So standing by for Josh Kalden, talking about men's sheds. Yeah, that was why I was talking about yesterday's depression thread. I think men's sheds are proposed partly as a contribution, a positive contribution to men's good mental health. Have you noticed how the term mental health now seems to be just a negative phrase, doesn't it? When people say and mental health, I can't think of a way of or recall what I've heard. But genuinely, when people say mental health, they mean it as a sort of pejorative, negative thing. It's not seen as a spectrum anymore. It's just we talk about mental health and it's just essentially bad. Well, men's sheds are an effort to put a bit of positivity into the male psyche on a weekly basis. We'll be finding out more about them, and the one we want to start here in Sao Martinho Do Porto, me and Josh. He sent me a message on WhatsApp saying, I think this is a good idea. I think we should start one. I thought, okay, let's do it. Let's try it. And we've already got a few fellas signing up. We've got a day of the week to do it. And we've got a venue. So we'll be starting that soon. So you can find out more about that. And of course, talking to Bob Yonker about his new album on Shared Dreams Music. If you want to listen more to Bob's music after you've heard him speak about his new album, The Seeker, which was released on March the 12th. And of course, we played a track from that. Go to shareddreamsmusic.com. We'll be talking to the man himself in the next half hour segment. So stand by for all of that here on the Good Morning Breakfast Show, the Good Morning Portugal Breakfast Show. Now and then, it is good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. Oh, ain't that the truth?
Hooah!
Guillaume Apollinaire. Apollinaire sounds like a range of kitchen appliances, doesn't it? But clearly a creator of great bon mots as well. Now and then, it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. There it is, the human mind at work again, seeking happiness rather than just straight up enjoying it in the moment. Mindful dad joke. I want to learn to live in the moment, just not this moment. Some other moment, like a moment on the beach. Yes, a theme emerging this morning. And we've got your visuals as well too today. Thank you, James, for these, which I'm bringing to the screen now. I think we do go. Yeah, we're going to the Starship Enterprise. And we're going to Pulp Fiction as well. Let's go to Pulp Fiction first. Say mindfulness one more time. Yes, it does get like that, to be fair. Thank you for having a sense of humor about it, James. I dare you, double dare you. Shut up with your mindfulness and living in the moment. Oh, my God. And as I said recently, maybe living in the moment is actually too painful sometimes as well. I visited my sick uncle over Christmas, over on the Starship Enterprise now, Spock to Bridge. I visited my sick uncle. It's the only line I know, I think. My sick uncle over Christmas and took some presents and a bottle of whiskey. That's nice. I hope he doesn't notice there, God. So let me read that again. I visited my sick uncle over Christmas and took some presents and a bottle of whiskey. I hope he doesn't notice they're gone. Very good. And another one of these for you, James.
Hooah!
My favorite jingle of the moment. Excellent. Let's see who else is in this morning. Possibly a God Squad tip of the day from you, Coach Turner. Looks like Pete beat you to it this morning. What's 3 shredded weekday, I think, for Peter. Let's go into this medley, this brace of dad jokes. And you're calling them MDJs. Would you rank these as mindful dad jokes, Pete? This is superb. I saw this earlier on. I took a poll recently, and 100% of people were quite annoyed that their tent had fallen down. Very good. Okay, let me just quickly preview this. Not sure. It's often I read things out before I realize the utter filthiness of what Pete is sharing with us. I've got 2 kids. I might have to stop suddenly. Jane and Emma. Suddenly, they do both get bullied at school. I can't make it stop, but I can help them rise above it. So the other day, I sat them down and said, "Look, boys." It's quite prescient, is it not? Another one from Peter. They just keep coming. I bought a really nice 12-year-old Scotch. I mean, obviously, his parents weren't pleased. Yeah, that's like I won a choir boy of the year in 1982. But he was a noisy little so-and-so, so I had to send him back. I owe so much money to my herb seller. Is that the chili guy? In Figueiras de Vinhos, I owe so much money to my herb seller, if you're American, that he's threatened to send around the bay leaves. Peter, these are great. I recently entered a competition to see who's gained the most weight and lost the most hair. Steady. Obviously, it wasn't called that. It was advertised as a school reunion. Very good. I recently took my naval exams. I thought this was contemplating of the naval or something to do with fluff, but no, he got 7 C's in his recent naval exams. Oh, Mr. Ambassador, you've excelled yourself this morning. Very, very good indeed. Oh, Michael's back from Madrid, I'm seeing there this morning. Coach Turner, then, bon dia a todos e feliz quinta-feira. Lunch with daughter and family today in glorious Braintree. Why is it called that? Some places have very little to redeem themselves, but needs must. Oh, so not a fan then by the sound of it. Braintree's a good start, though. What a fascinating name. And Basingstoke. Why is it called that? God Squad tip of the. You grow up with these names, and until you move away and hear them more literally, you think, what is that all about? English people, why are you so weird? God Squad tip of the day. You're not the only ones. I mentioned, but you are. I mentioned rowing yesterday, and we're still not sure if it's rowing or rowing. I mentioned rowing yesterday, but of course there are many other sports that are done on the water. Water sports, Pete. And I'm grateful. Stand by for more information. Having mentioned water sports, Pete is furiously working on a quip right there. Kayaking is similar in exercise to rowing. However, paddleboarding, surfing, and windsurfing are maybe better as you're standing up. Maybe, yeah, if you're lucky, if you're any good. And therefore, weight bearing. Yes, you do get a lot of core exercise on a paddleboard, don't you, for example? I want to try that. They do that here in the bay in Sao Martinho Do Porto. Dinghy sailing. Not dingy sailing. Dinghy sailing can also be good exercise. And top sailors are very fit. Yeah, there's all sorts of just about every part of the body gets exercise when you're a sailor. Sometimes all of them, from some of the sailor stories I've heard. Or how about just trying kite surfing? I would have thought it's a bit flimsy to go surfing on a kite. But anyway, Portugal is the perfect place to try a new sport. It is true, isn't it? Out on the water. But just remember, you'll start by doing some swimming. Yeah, and be careful out there. The Atlantic, it can be very dangerous. I do recommend the very calm bay of Sao Martinho Do Porto if you're a little bit afraid of the water, as I am. This is my favorite place to swim ever in all of the world, Sao Martinho Do Porto Bay. Bon dia from Jackie and from T-Duck. Bon dia, Alegria Guppers. Good morning to you, T-Duck. And a bon dia, Portugal from João de Nor and James. Don't know about the timestamp, but it's just a title screen until you pop up. I don't know. I do know there is a 3 to 5 second delay from StreamYard. But did you hear the sound effect debacle this morning, James? Bon dia, Portugal from Home Miners Property Investment. Morning, Steve. Oh, great to talk to you. I hope everything's okay with you. I'm guessing that what we went into on the Portugal Club wasn't of direct interest to you, and that's great. I don't want people to be watching anything I do unnecessarily or suffering. Suck the juice out of the content, and if it's not for you, then move on. And I mean, there's so much great content in the world, isn't there? Bom dia Portugal from Steve. And when we did talk that first part of the session, Steve, I do hope you will share with us the story of the incredible property that's overgrown in central Portugal, in Pedroga Grande, and chronicle your renovation project there. So tell me you will, Steve. Tell me you will. Fab show yesterday, and the Pilgrims video is fascinating. Oh, wonderful, Jackie. Thanks for sharing these special moments. Well, we do our best, and if it wasn't for the likes of Filomena Pascual, who you can see tonight on the Expats Portugal webinar, it wouldn't be possible. We have Filomena going around Portugal, looking out for us for these wonderful moments. I merely put them together with the material, with the wonderful material that she sends me. And I would recommend that. If you want to understand the Portuguese psyche, the Portuguese culture, which is a great... actually, I was talking to Maria and Vitor Costa. This was the Portugal Club seminar on Tuesday evening. There they are. Maria, wonderful to talk to Maria and to Vitor Costa, the ever thoughtful Vitor there, on the left, obviously. They were talking. They had many great insights when it came to talking about the language, and I think it was Maria talking about Vitor. That when you learn about the culture, that's a head start on the language. Vitor also said that his Chinese, his Mandarin teacher, had told him that sometimes when you learn the language inside the culture, you know, this is the dark side of immersion. Sometimes, literally with immersion, you feel like you're drowning, and it can be very traumatic and overwhelming. And I've never really thought of that. I tend to propose and endorse immersion as the best way with language. But obviously, if you just chuck yourself straight in, you do run the risk of being completely overwhelmed as well. And we need days like the days that James talked about, when you need to withdraw, you need to find safety and come out of the immersion from time to time if it all gets a bit too much. So there are some great thoughts around learning the language. Most important thing, though, is to get started. The two principal objections, if you like, to learning Portuguese, it would seem, are not making the time, not making the priority. And what was the other thing? Can't remember now. But making an effort is certainly it's difficult. There you go. The ideas we have, that was the other. That's the main obstacle, isn't it? Is people's standing idea that it's really difficult, or they're not very good at languages. The main blockage is psychology, I think. Is finding the right and enjoyable learning style for you. Really, really important. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And as well as doing that, you've got to make the time. You've got to find the time. It's not going to happen magically. Bon dia from Albufeira this morning from Facebook user. Good morning to you. Who are you? And Hugh. Morning to you, Hugh. Looking forward to meeting you soon. Now I understand who you are. Oh, you're looking like you're enjoying a Portuguese red there, Hugh. What was that that you're drinking there? It's like your own wine that you make there, or is that another one? Up in a Viseu way. What a great and unknown, I think, undervalued part of the country up there in Viseu. We'll be finding more about your wonderful experience that you provide up there, Hugh, soon when we visit you with Colin Ross Jones on the Portugal trip, when we're meeting Coach Turner as well. Bon dia, great lunch yesterday. Linda loves the new mug. Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Hoo-ah!
Coffee in the new Good Morning Portugal, or one of the Love Portugal mugs. I think Larry is talking about Linda's new Love Portugal mug like that. I'm so glad. Thank you very much. Good morning to you both. I did hear the soundboard test before the titles came on, but sometimes an ad comes on when you start, so I have to wait 5 seconds to skip the rest of the ad. Sorry about that. If you take advantage of Facebook Premium, it's a new world. It is really good. Facebook Premium is fantastic. And if you can speak your native language, you are great at learning languages. Absolutely right. Even though if that was several decades ago. But yes, it can be done. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. And you need to challenge yourself and your preconceptions. I think there's a lot of value to having a little sit down and mindful. Sit down perhaps and thinking, what am I putting in the way of me and learning Portuguese? Because believe me, and I'm no great Portuguese speaker, as many people know. In fact, it's one of the early podcast reviews. If you look up the Good Morning Portugal, I'm going to see if I can find it for myself now and for you. One of my first Good Morning Portugal podcast reviews over at on iTunes is "Do not learn Portuguese from this man." But I'm hoping to put that right. I am not in any way a comprehensive or a gifted Portuguese speaker. But every little step I take, and feel some sense of progress is really, really wonderful. I can tell you that. And I'm guessing a few of you would share that as well. Let me know in the chat this morning, as well as your pictures and videos on 913-590-303. Yeah, I'm looking at my reviews now. How do you find this? Oh, yeah. Early format was better. Get to the point. Yeah. Outstanding advice. Thank you. That's a nice one. Outstanding advice. Seriously disappointed. It's a really awful set of reviews over there. But I'm trying to find the one on language. Oh, yeah. Carl Munson is a charming, witty host with an interesting perspective on what it's like to be an expat in Portugal. His tales of living there with his family. This is a 3 out of 5 from James Beep. Yeah, that's what I would call you, James. Beep. And cultural recommendations are great. Is this you, though, James, from ages ago? However, I suggest Mr. Munson return to his original format. I don't know what that was. Oh, yeah, longer episodes that allowed him to dig into a topic were more interesting and entertaining. Okay, so we did return to that format. And without meaning to be cruel, you know somebody's about to be cruel, don't you, when they say, and without meaning to be cruel? Mr. Munson is not the person from whom an English speaker should be learning Portuguese. To you, I'm giving it my best shot, and I don't intend to stop. James Beep. We'll have to read some more of these out. They're good fun. So an English speaker should not be learning Portuguese from me. His pronunciation is not helpful, and he doesn't seem to know the best ways to learn the language. Well, I've worked on that. That was 2020, to be fair, in June. Mr. Munson had a good podcast early on, and I hope he returns to the pre-language lesson format. Well, kind of. It's a hybrid. I'm coming back to... it's all about the language and the culture, really. Good Morning Portugal and the Portugal Club. So we have returned to the long form, and we're not going to be avoiding the language. And I hope, James Beep, whoever you are, you will come back and maybe help rather than criticize. There's the thing. Here we go. And it took you about 7 to 10 years to learn your native language well. That's well said. Learn it like a kid does. Don't be afraid to make mistakes a little bit every day. Slow and steady wins the race. Absolutely right. Thank you, James. I like the language as swimming analogy immersion. I think it's about learning to float first. Yes, loving that. Then treading water, then simple doggy paddle, and then entering the Olympics in about 20 years, right? Same thing with language, I think. Very good, Joao de Nor. I like that. And the best way to learn anything is the way in which you learn best. Exactly. But that said, James, people, it's like, okay, I'm going to learn Portuguese, says somebody, and they throw themselves straight into the A2 lessons. And I'd be very interested to hear the success rate of people who take the A2. Well, actually, success in the A2 means just turning up, doesn't it? Twice a week for 9 months, I think. But it's people are going back to school, aren't they? And they know it and they feel it. And let's face it, despite the best efforts of our elders and the creators of the educational system that we experienced as kids, it may not have been tailored to your particular needs as a learner. I think that there's a lot more understood about that, about the way people learn and how much easier and better and more effective, for that matter, it is for people to learn in their preferred style. And if you put people through an educational system and style that is not suited to them and make them sit there for 15 years, is it? You're gonna create some very interesting individuals. I think it may well be that you're traumatizing people and you're creating revolutionaries right there with that sort of system. So yeah, find the way you learn best and apply that to learning Portuguese as well. You don't have to oh no, back to school for me. Canings, standing in the corner, the dunce's hat, the bullying. Doesn't have to be like that. You're in charge of your own learning processes now, and please apply that to Portuguese as well. So we've got a few minutes to go until we're joined in the next segment by Josh Kalden and also Bob Yonker. Oh no, I know what I wanted to do before they get here. I want to play you my favorite track in the background. Let's see if you can hear this, and then we'll show you the pictures of Fabrizio and Ian from Madeira. You're hearing some beautiful piano music in the background. I want to talk over it. It's really beautiful, so I won't. And I'll just show you some pictures now of Fabrizio and Ian. These are beautiful. And so is this. Well, it sounds. I was going to say it sounds like you can't hear music, which is really a real. Can you now? Anyway, these are the pictures from Fabrizio and Ian in Madeira. Ah, okay. I am playing from a website. That might be the problem. But Shared Dreams Music is what is where the music should be coming from. And these are the images of Fabrizio and Ian. Look at that. Strong, very strong bit of yoga. Excellent stuff. Staying in Madeira. And a lady walking up the street there in Madeira. Nightfall. Nightfall's in Madeira. Fabrizio and Ian. They can't be joining us. They're over there in Madeira having a walk through the lavandas, what they called. And, the obligatory food picture. That may be a volcanically baked bread cake right there. Lovely pictures, especially this one. That's awesome. That's the beautiful. That's the paradise of Madeira. Just pausing the music there, whether you could hear it or not. Look at those fruits. Isn't that amazing? The color of Madeira right there. Thank you very much, Fabrizio and Ian. I suspect we'll get more pictures from them in the next few days. Absolutely beautiful. Want to visit Madeira? Have you been there? Let us know in the chat. And if you've got any pictures of Madeira that we can add to our growing collection of beautiful pictures from around Portugal, 913-590-303. Have a lovely time. And what on earth were these? These fish heads here drying out in the sunshine of Madeira there as well. Those are those the blacks. Is that the scabbard fish that we are seeing there? Okay, and we've got Josh getting ready to join us behind the scenes. He's ready, I think. Josh is ready. And of course, Josh, I met at our meetup here in Sao Martinho Do Porto, where he famously, notably played his ukulele, which might be one of the activities we look at when we start this men's shed up. And he played a duet with Don, the Don of the Sao Martinho Do Porto meetup. So let's give him a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen this morning. Hola, bom dia, Josh. Tudo bem?
Bom dia, bom dia.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good.
Well, it's great to have you, and it was a lovely surprise to receive your message the other day. I think it's something like we ought to start one of these in Sao Martinho Do Porto, right? I'm looking at men's sheds, right? And I'm thinking, we won't all fit in a shed. I mean, is it just me and Josh? Is it going to be other fellas? The men's shed, and then after that, after the physical building, my mind went to is this like a male mental health thing? And I think there's a touch of that in the project, isn't there? But it's a broader initiative than that. So what was it that appealed to you? Could you tell us more about men's sheds and why you were inspired to start one in San Martinho?
Yeah, it's harder as an adult, I think, for everybody to make friends and maintain them.
Yes.
Back in college days, we had sort of a social construct that made it easy to connect with other people. It's actually considered a health crisis. Loneliness is considered a health crisis, at least in the States, and I know it's true in Australia and the UK as well. And in particular for men, it's harder for us to make friends when we're adults, outside of work, of course. And for whatever reason, I don't know if you've had this experience, but my wife can talk on the phone for hours with her friends. I think
yes,
my longest conversation is about 5 minutes. So we're just a little bit different. I you do agree. So it's the mention is sort of one of several ideas I was looking at. Personally, I want more friends, and I'd like more male friends and more connections. I'd like to be able to pick up that phone, and have someone to call to go out for a beer, or if I'm in a situation, and there's a high correlation with someone who has that phone call available, and the happiness and longevity of their life.
Is that right? Okay, so this is a science-backed initiative here, and here it is on Wikipedia. The men's shed or community sheds are, and I suppose it's picking up on the motif, isn't it, of like maybe back in the day, a fellow would be in his shed and his mate might pop round, and that was a hub of sociability. Non-profit local organizations that provide a space for craft work and social interaction. So those are the key themes. The movement originated in Australia in the 1980s as a way to improve the health and well-being of older men. However, some have expanded their remit to anyone, regardless of age or gender, and have similar aims and functions to hacker spaces. There are over 900 located across Australia with thousands of active members, and they can now be found in United Kingdom, Ireland, United States, Canada, Finland, Estonia, New Zealand, and Greece. I think it's a cracking idea. Do you think it's a particular issue when you're moving country and you're a foreigner in a new country, Josh?
Yeah, you don't know. Like these are all we've made a big jump to live in a new place, and all of our friends are left behind, and we're meeting new people, and we don't know, are we going to get along with these people? Are we not? I read somewhere it takes about 200 hours with somebody before you can consider them a close friend. And if we're all working from our home offices, at what point are we going to get to that 200 hours? On that Wikipedia page, that second paragraph starts with the motto of the Men's Shed, which is shoulder to shoulder. And I think that's kind of an important distinction here, that male friendships tend to be shoulder to shoulder, where we do things together. We hunted together, evolutionarily. And they even see that when social psychologists put a bunch of guys together, they actually turn their chairs. We don't do this. Yeah, we do this. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can watch that, and it's an instinct.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm loving the sound of this, and there's also, I guess, if you there are all sorts of angles, because if you look in some places, there is a people talking about things like the crisis of masculinity. Men don't know who they are, what their function is anymore, and I think that can sound really alarmist, and it can get into some political hot water. But I think there's a grain of truth in it, and it's quite right, isn't it, that we return to our natural, instinctive, sort of truthful behavior rather than try and be something else. And maybe this is part of coming out of a particular age where ideology has triumphed over physiology and psychology a little bit too much. So I'm looking forward to it, and I love this idea that, I mean, coming back to the sort of gender stereotypes, if you like. I've heard it said that if a woman wants to have a conversation with a man, it's quite good to have the conversation with him while he's driving, because he's doing something.
Yeah.
The face-to-faces, we need to talk type conversation, where the chairs are faced at each other, and your partner might say, "We need to talk. Could you look at me while I'm talking to you?" That is massively confrontational to a man, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the most terrifying thing I can hear.
So,
like, oh no.
Oh dear.
What did I do?
And I think women are like looking at each other and, like you say, talking on the phone for hours. Sort of generally speaking, it's so much more comfortable for them to do that and to face each other. And it's not in any way threatening. It's actually really nice. It looks really lovely and bonding, doesn't it? But we don't do that. And so how good it is to recognize that an activity might form part of this as well. What have you got in mind for those activities, Josh, that we might do?
I don't know. We were kind of joking around, sailor knots, or
tobacco, chewing tobacco and spitting.
Chewing tobacco. But it's definitely something to do with the hands. Card game, maybe.
Yes.
Crafts, whittling, woodwork,
yes,
painting. It's something to do together. And I think on our first meeting, we'll come up with a list of probably 100 different things we could try out.
And so, it sounds like it ticks a box for expat sociability, and particularly we're talking about fellas here, aren't we? Talking, from who we are, and the particular issues of being a man in 2024, I guess, without wanting to get too heavily political about it. But this is a space, I guess, where I asked you, didn't I? I said, is it all right if my 12-year-old lad comes? And how wonderful it would be for him to perhaps be able to relate to, not just his own generation, but the father generation above him and the grandfather generation. And this perhaps also is another aspect, of how it's useful, is when we extract ourselves as foreigners and expats and implant ourselves in a new culture, we don't generally come with a family structure, do we? Or a constellation of male and female elders and people, associates around us. But certainly from a male point of view, I think it's really important to have men you can look up to. So maybe, we might be or who you can look for support, whatever age they are. So it ticks that box as well, doesn't it?
It does. You know, if you're walking around Sao Martinho Do Porto and you go to where the elevator is, or if you
Yeah.
go to some of the older buildings, you see these pictures on the wall that go back
Yes.
over 100 years,
Yeah.
um, of the local fishermen. Some of them are in drag, which is kind of funny if you pay attention. They're
I
fun.
didn't
They're having
notice
a,
that.
yeah.
All
They're
right.
just they're just smiles ear to ear, groups of guys who live here. And
Mm,
all of a sudden, somewhere around the 50s or 60s, there's no more pictures.
yeah.
Um, I feel like something's missing there. And I met a guy last night, Joao, who works at the post office, and his uncles are on those pictures, and his
Wonderful.
aunt, he could see his family all the way going back. And I feel like, that's what we're missing a little bit, as
Yeah.
not only as expats but also in this community.
Yeah, well said, well said. And I mean, can you imagine to be able to create that over time? And it is going to take time, isn't it? It is going to
Mhm.
take those 200 hours of investment. It is going to be hanging out together and maybe not trying too hard, because that's the other thing. I mean, I think I've been a part of a couple of men's groups, and
Mhm.
they were terrifying. They were the circle of chairs and the box of tissues types of men groups.
Yes.
And I'm not knocking it, because it is, it is powerful in its own way, sort of
Mhm.
psychotherapeutically. And there's something else, isn't there? There's something a lot more practical and prosaic, perhaps, and natural. I don't know, might be another word, right? Coming back to how men naturally relate to each other and bond,
Yeah.
given half the chance.
What I like about this idea of a men's shed is that there's only three rules. It's not ideological at all, and women are absolutely welcome in these around the world. Um, we just need a place to go, something to do, and a regular time to hang out. That's it. There's like, that's it. Every group can define what it wants to do and who it wants to be, totally on its own. So it's,
Yeah.
I feel um, like there's nothing wrong with the more psychological or um, guided types of men's groups out there, and there's different types of them, and from pretty woo-woo to tribalistic to
Yes, yes, of course.
gestalt,
Yeah.
and those are great, but sometimes after a long day at work, I just want to hang out, have a
And
beer.
not hang out as in be hung from by your nipples in the forest for 3 days on some
Yeah,
sort of vision quest. That could be a bit heavy, couldn't it? For 2 hours on a Wednesday night.
yeah, a little too much.
That's not the kind of hanging out we're talking about. We've got a few comments coming in. I'm loving this, and I want to ask you about, why some people will say, some guys are going to say, well, then why don't you just go to the pub? But I think there's probably a very good answer to that. Ocean Dweller, it's really beautiful. Now, I think Ocean Dweller's talking about Madeira and not our idea, although she might think our idea is beautiful, or not our idea, but how we're going to pick up and run with this idea. Hello, good morning from Liz F. Well, I tuned in at 9:33 Paris time, and I like maybe 1 or 2 seconds later, your hello, good morning page and tune came on, and then you appeared talking. Oh, that's good. I was asking people about how they experienced the show. Thank you for that, Liz F. Good morning to you, or should I say a bonjour. Sports clubs are great places to make friends, and that, of course, is somewhere where you're going to
Mhm.
be on a regular basis and doing an activity.
Yep.
The focus is going to be on the activity, not necessarily each other. Cada é diferente. Eu prefiro a aprendizagem gamificada, como as aplicações, practice Portuguese, memorize, and fun, easy learn. Not seen fun, easy learn. This is talking about different styles of learning Portuguese. Talk while you walk, very good. Toss or kick a ball, very good. Yeah, men like throwing stones and sticks, don't they? It's hard. It's hardwired. I mean,
Yeah.
the bat and ball sports are an extension of that, aren't they? Talk while doing something. There you go. And I used to suggest these to the moms who wanted to know their sons better. That's very good, isn't it? Rather than sit
Mm.
down, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Volunteering together is a good way to develop long-term friendships and to spend time with like-minded people. Thank you very much, Erica K, for that. Just the phrase, hey, we need to talk, had a completely different tone if the speaker is female versus male. And I don't think João de Norte meant that versus in a confrontational way, female to female or male to male or female to male there. I really missed the banter while working with contractors. Banter,
Yeah,
yes.
that's it. Ball busting. Yeah. Guys like to ball bust.
Ball busting. Yeah, I thought you said ball
Yeah.
dusting. I'm not sure about that, but
No.
ball busting, yeah. Followed by a couple of beers afterwards. I now go to the gym for some banter, followed by a couple of beers after. Very good. This is a great idea. The man shed sounds fantastic. I'm moving to Portugal. I don't know anyone, so it'd be a great way to meet people. And you could teach us a thing or two, Jackie. So why not just go to the pub, Josh?
Well, for me, I don't like drinking that much. I mean,
Well,
I'll have a
the
beer.
pub's not for you then.
I'll have a beer every once in a while, but sitting around drunk people isn't my idea of a good time.
Yeah.
So it's just not me.
No, I get it, and I don't like a long session. I do like a beer, and I like the beer buzz. But after a while, it's like all that we've got here now in this space is to drink more, and it's as though as happens in so many areas of modern life. You could say that's the original men's shed, isn't it? Sitting around and drinking. But given that the breweries have taken that space over, that's become the only thing to do in there, and then it becomes a little bit one-dimensional, doesn't it? And that space has been hijacked for mainly drinking, really. So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, there's nothing to do other than to drink. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yes, and then to get drunk, and if that's what you want to do, fair enough. But this is going to be a little bit different to that. And we've made some very good progress already, haven't we? Didn't we start this conversation yesterday morning or the day before yesterday?
Yeah, and I've already gotten several texts. So when is it? I want to be there.
Isn't it amazing? And picking up on your 200 hours idea, I think it's possible to create a certain level of friendship at a meetup. But I'm also noticing that at a meetup, it does stay at a certain level as well. And people tend to splinter off or take, like a Bitcoin branch. They'll go off and have a better connected relationship outside the meetup. And the meetups do have a kind of not a one dimension, but a certain level where people don't tend to go past because of the politeness and that kind of setting. So you found the venue. We've got a time, haven't we, in Sao Martinho Do Porto as well, I think?
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be every other Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I wanted to keep it inclusive for locals. And I know Portuguese eat kind of late, later than I tend to. And so I wanted to have a wide window of opportunity for local men to be able to come.
Yeah.
And a regular time, so every other Wednesday starting on the 17th.
Yes.
And also outside of work hours, so people who are not retired yet, like myself, can also participate, so that it's as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, really good, really good. So it's looking like being a Wednesday between 7 and 10, so that the later comers can join us. But people who want to start a bit earlier, who are used to going to bed by about 9, can also be there as well. And could you just repeat those 3 rules again, or the principles upon which it's based?
A place to go, something to do, and a regular time to meet.
It sounds great, doesn't it? And I'm hoping we will attract some local Portuguese fellas as well. I suspect they do it a bit more naturally than we do. And they're going to think, "Oh, you foreigners are so weird setting up a men's shed." This is just what we call life. But anyway, we'll find that out. Men are instinctively competitive around each other, so it's very difficult to be vulnerable and open in such situations. We tend to make up for this by being a bit tribal or sporty. And I think the 200-hour threshold, I suppose, is where you feel like you might be able to be a bit more vulnerable after a bit of time, and that's what I guess would make a true friend. I know that I see Gary Austin in that regard, and his brother, of course. I do like the pub atmosphere if it's uncrowded. If busy, you cannot hear each other or have conversations. Yep. And only after drinking do we seem to get a bit more open and emotional with each other. I love you, man. Well, maybe that will happen at the men's shed without beer. Who knows? I think there should be special places for men to socialize. No shame or shade on women, just a good way to bond. Yeah, well said. Yes, it's not meant in any way as a slur to the fairer sex, is it? It's just a way of honoring perhaps some of the lost needs of men, right?
I think we're at a little bit of a disadvantage, and we need more help getting connected to people than women kind of are more instinctive at it. They're just better at it, and society kind of supports that as well. So we just need a little bit more extra of a booster.
So well spotted there, Josh, this opportunity and the idea. And thanks for sharing it with me. I'm glad we're picking it up and run with it. And other men seem to be up for it as well. While you're here, I was telling everybody about you being a notable ukulele player and convener of the ukulele community since you've been here in Portugal. Have you got an event coming up later on in April?
We do, yeah. We have our next ukulele club coming up on the 28th in Sao Martinho Do Porto, the Casa da Cultura.
Right.
It'll be from 1 to 3. We're going to pick up a couple of fun songs that everybody knows. So if you have an ukulele that's been collecting dust on your wall or shelf,
it happens.
It happens a lot, which is fine. But come warm it up with us. It'll be fun.
Come warm up your ukulele. Fantastic. And would that be anybody from anywhere in the country or world, for that matter, who could come to beautiful Sao Martinho Do Porto and have a fun time with you and your congress?
Everybody's welcome. Yeah, we're in person. We're an in-person group.
Yeah, all right, that's absolutely wonderful. So a ukulele meetup, as well as the new men's shed that's going to be happening here. Josh, thank you so much. Thanks for being on the Good Morning Portugal show this morning. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the men's shed soon.
I'll see you soon, Carl. Thanks, everybody.
All right, all the best. Ciao, ciao. Thank you. And love to Lily as well. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Right, there goes Josh. We've got Bob York. We're staying with music. We're talking about ukulele there, and we will be talking about the wonderful piano music of Bob Yonker. If I put you on the stage there, Bob, and give you a round of applause, am I hearing you, Bob? I can't see, but am I hearing you?
Yeah, do you hear me?
I do, loud and clear. Yeah. And this is working for me so far, if this is your preference.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I can't see myself. I don't know why.
No, you're on the screen and it says Bob Yonker, and I recognize your voice, so I know you're not an imposter.
That's good. That's good.
Pretending to be the great Bob Yonker. It's been a while, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Always good to talk to you. Always great to hear that you've got a new album out. You very kindly sent a preview, and we played a tune. My current favorite, I want to say, with your new Seeker album is The Veil. And I think that I've got an attachment to that because I think that's a kind of sign of the times at the moment, that the veil is crumbling or lifting. Is that the tone of your album? It's called The Seeker. It came out on the 12th of March. Is there a message in the music as well as the beauty that stands alone with the music?
Yeah, there is. The album came about with actually my wife Karen's involved with all this. As I'm playing stuff, she's like, "Hi, Carl."
Hi. I thought I heard you in the background there, Karen. Good morning to you. Lots of love to you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Delighted to be talking to your man here, the great Bob Yonker, and hearing about your part in this. So what is that thing? So Karen's coaching from the background. Is she saying, do something about the veil?
Well, the whole point was, she said the next time, because the last album that I recorded up in Porto, there were a bunch of other songs that I just sat down over lunch break up there in the studio and I was playing, and the recording engineer had left the recording thing on. So I ended up with just channeling, or basically creating 6 new pieces right there at the studio. So this time Karen's like, that's what you have to do. You have to make it fun. Go to the studio, just channel, sit down, go into I go into a zone. I go into a meditation. I ask whatever comes through, comes through. So basically almost every song that's on the Seeker album was on the spot, improvised, recorded at the studio. Really? Not all of them, but most of them. Yes, most of them were just brand new. I didn't know what was going to come out, and they're on the album now. And the Veil was one of those.
Sorry, carry on. I interrupted you then. And I am playing it in the background. Sorry to talk over it, but it is lovely, I think, as well, for people to get a sense, the vibes of the music. So yeah, is there more to say about The Veil?
Well, The Veil was one of the ones that was brand new from the studio. I hadn't heard it before myself. I mean, it just flowed out.
How lovely. I really love it. As you know, we have a mindfulness migration angle with James, and this music, I think it's fair to call it I call it mystical music when I was writing about it last night. And it is mindful music, isn't it? It's from your soul. You say it's channeled. and give that engineer a medal. Isn't that a lovely little serendipity there that he left the recording running and out these tunes poured? What is that like for you when you're sat there? How does that leave you? How does that affect you?
Well, the engineer up there is Barbara, and I request her every time I go up. She is great, and she right away she kind of clued into how I am, that I get a little nervous when I'm up there, but when I sit down at the piano, it's like I just ask for what needs to come through for people to hear. What I want my music to be is service to others. That's a way for me to be in service to others, because I think that's important. And the world needs calm. The world needs peace. The world needs quiet, mindfulness. My wife and I meditate every day, sometimes several times a day. It's just so. And I do songs for individuals sometimes if they request.
Of course,
I'll channel with their guides, and I'll do a specific song for them. I think I did one for you and Louisa.
You did, yeah, absolutely. I recall that now. You have an absolute gift, and I love what you're saying about the times we're living in and the powerfulness of the music. I mean, this is music of a different order, isn't it? This is not commercial music that's heavily marketed and trying to bring about a particular result, which in many ways is just all that's worst about the music industry. This is something of a different order altogether. How is the new album being received around the world?
Actually, this one was surprising. I can relay one little story from. I kind of released these through the United States because that's where I was from. Yes. And the promoter I use is over there, and there's a station in the United States, any American expats will know, it's Sirius satellite radio.
Yep, Sirius,
and it's one of the better ones for musicians to be on, because for royalty purposes, they pay well per stream.
Good for you in a time where that's very difficult.
And this, sometimes I've had other pieces make it on there, which is great, and they're still being in rotation, but it usually took like almost up to 3 months before I would hear anything. I released The Seeker on March 12th. Within, I don't even think it was 7 days, my promoter called back and said they had chosen 2 of the tracks from the new album to put in rotation on Sirius. Wow. So it's that to me. And then I've had multiple people already contact me asking me for sheet music. So I'm in the process of getting some of these pieces transcribed into sheet music for them to play. So it's being received quite well.
Clearly. And so what is your longer term hope for this? I think you kind of alluded to it, but I mean, this is a contribution to world peace and human well-being, and what a lovely approach that is.
Yeah, what I've been, in my guidance that I use, what I've been guided to is that I'll be doing at least one per year. In fact, I've already booked the studio in Porto in October, and I'll go back in the studio and I'll do my next one to release in 2025, and try to release one album per year of channeled new, whatever comes through, music that is needed for people and for the world at the time.
How beautiful. Hi, Bob, says Sky of the Shires, just learning the Isaac Hayes song on the keyboard, covered by Mary J. Blige. You're in good company there, Bob. Lovely melody that we're hearing in the background here. And I do urge people to listen to it without me rabbiting over it. And I will put the link to it as well. Can I talk to you more generally about Portugal, Bob? Are you finding this is a great backdrop context for your creativity and for the channeling to come through?
Yes, actually, it is. One of the prior albums, I think it's Dream, was several of the songs were inspired by where I was living at the time down in the Alentejo. One of them is called Alentejo Peace. And that was received very well and put onto Sirius Radio in the United States. So yes, a lot of these are inspired by just Portugal in general and the people we've met here. And
yeah, wonderful. And what do you think's happening right now, Bob? I don't know if you want to go into this, if you want your music to speak for you, but I mean, it does seem like there are some sort of spiritually turbulent times, or turbulent times at every level. What do you figure is going on?
What?
Should we bring Karen on for that? Put Karen on the spot instead. What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Can you see
Can
it?
you see me?
No, can't. We've just got your audio and not your video.
Oh. Yeah, it's blocked off.
Well,
I don't know what I did.
Well, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh yeah, there's crazy energy, as you know, if anybody listens to Louisa. Going on in the world. So yeah, we're trying to do whatever we can to stay centered, stay grounded, stay, more at peace, and let that stuff that's coming up, let it go.
Let it come up, let it go. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And yeah, I do live with Louisa, so I do get a sense of the crazy energy you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think a retreat to talk about.
Some friends of ours from Santa Fe, where we were living before we moved to Portugal, are basically awake. They call themselves awakening coaches, or they've been to India and have gone through all kinds of trainings. And we knew them before they even did that. We were in meditation groups with them all the way up until we moved to Portugal. And it doesn't work. And then so
you're trying to get on the screen. Yeah,
he contacted me recently. He started a YouTube channel called Becoming Awesome, and he features my music on there. Yeah. So I received a lot of comments from some of his YouTube followers. Yeah. Well, he got one of his people that he met on a trip that he took to Egypt. Offered him said she was guided by spirit to open up her chateau in France for him to do a retreat there. So he called me and Karen and I, and then asked if I would come and do the channeled music and channel music for couple of the sessions, and then also do a channel concert where I'll just go and play. So it's July 3rd through the 7th at the Chateau de Gauche in France. And yes, so it's another chance to be in service, I guess, and we're going to go and we get to see our friends we haven't seen since we moved. So
that sounds wonderful. Climax is on my birthday as well. That's wonderful. So I've put the link to the music on the screen. Lovely to hear your voice again, Bob, and you as well, Karen, in the background there. Shared Dreams Music is where you can download the music. Is it possible that you might play live in Portugal at some point as well, Bob?
I actually did, when was that? January. There was a place here in, Tanya. Tanya, I played at her when she was still had the Cooperativo. Yeah. I did a concert there for, there was about 30 people that showed up. Yeah. So.
And are you available in that way then for these sorts of invitations? If
yes.
This music is great, I want that at my event, you'd be available. And can they contact you on the Shared Dreams Music site? Is that the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, it would be, they could. And my email is just shareddreamsmusic@gmail.com.
Okay, very straightforward. Shareddreamsmusic@gmail.com. Anything else you want to add before you go this morning? Really lovely to catch up with you again. Anything else you want to tell us while you're here?
If anybody wants their own song channeled to their unique energies, I do that. I offer that. They can check my website out. There's a page on there about it. It's called Songs of Wellbeing, and they can see what I do and read about it and read some hear some testimonials from other people.
Wonderful. Well, lots of love to you, Bob, and to you, Karen. And rather than a rapturous round of applause, I think something that's more in keeping is the Gumper Dust jingle. So Gumper Dust on you. Yeah. There you go. And I hope we talk to you again soon. Get another album out, Bob. As soon as it's available, do let us know. Come back and talk to us.
All right. Thanks, Carl.
All right. Take care, mate. And bye, Karen. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
You're getting a round of applause anyway. I can't resist it. All right. Cheers, folks. And bye for now. How lovely. We're going to go to the Algarve now. What an amazing show this morning. And thanks, T-Duck. You sent me the footage of Josh and Don playing, so we will go out with a bit more music a little bit later on when we've had a chat with Ali, because the new Snapshot is out. Round of applause and Gumper Dust. We've got the Gumper Dust applause double this morning. We missed you last month. What were you up to? What happened?
I know. I was actually sat in a hospital bed on that Thursday. Yeah, do you want to see the arm now? We'll show them the before pictures in a bit. Okay,
are we doing that scene from Jaws where we show our skull?
Okay, there you go. That's what it looks like now. I'll cover it up again.
Oh my word! What did you do?
Oh, I was Sunday morning walking Zara just along the river path. I walk it every morning. We've had a lot of rain, as you know, and it was just, I know the path so well. I was quite frustrated because I walk, luckily Sunday mornings, I walk with another friend, Irina, and her rescue dog, who's also a nervous dog. So we buddy up, we walk together, we go for a coffee, and then we come back. So we do that. Coming back, we were just busy chatting, and I just missed one of the patches of mud that I know is there, that I know is not a good bit of the path. And I just went, humph, bang. But obviously put my arm out to try and, as you do, it's just instinct, isn't it? You're falling over and you put your arm out. I
did it myself. I had the first dog-related fall myself in the last.
And it wasn't Zara's fault at all. She was walking beautifully beside me on the lead, no problem. It was just me. I just caught the mud and went flying. But so luckily my friend rang for an ambulance. They had to drive along the river path in an ambulance to come and get me. Really? Because I wasn't sure, I'd landed right on the base of my spine as well. So they obviously.
Well, you were in agony. It was obvious.
The minute I looked down, my wrist was at a sort of strange angle. So I knew I'd done it. You know, you just sit there and go, no, I just got
this is going to need some work on it. Yeah.
And the bizarre thing, I've never been in hospital before in my life. I'm 55. I've managed to get that far in life. I've been an outpatient a few times because I was a PE student. But since then, so of course, I have to say, I've heard people tell stories about Portimao Hospital and how dreadful it is, and I cannot fault the care, the staff, everybody. The whole time was amazing. So it's apparently Sunday or Monday is a good day if you're going to injure yourself in the Algarve, because Tuesday morning the doctors sit and they plan their week's surgery. So I landed
if you're going to get injured, make sure you do it on the right day.
Don't pick Wednesday. Wednesday's not a good day. You can wait till the following Tuesday before they plan.
Pick the right day. The right day. Okay.
So ambulance, emergency. First night I had to stay in the emergency ward because they didn't have a bed for me upstairs. I went up on the Monday. But I have to say, they said, we have a bed for you. And I was picturing a British ward, lots of beds in a line. And they were little rooms.
Hattie Jakes standing.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah. And it wasn't. It was the room I had, there were 2 beds in a room with your own private bathroom. And I was literally with a much older Portuguese lady. And
the other bed wasn't for Dave. It was actually for
no, poor Dave, because of course with my diet he had to drive every single day into Portimao with a picnic food for the day planned for me because I couldn't eat. They did actually, oh bless them, they said they'd send a nutritionist for me because they understood my diet and why, and that was fine. And the nutritionist came on the Friday afternoon, half an hour before I was being released. And I thought he was actually coming with my release papers. And he was so apologetic. But it's such a busy hospital. There's so many people in and out all day. But you want one? I'll give you one funny story, just one. I'm sat in the emergency room. The first thing they said, they looked at my arm and said, well, you've obviously broken your wrist. Mm-hmm. They wheeled me into, they did all the x-rays and everything, and then they wheeled me into a room, and there's a doctor, well, it's 2 doctors, but there's a doctor standing there holding the biggest syringe I've ever seen in my life. And I kid you not, it was like something out of a horror movie. It was about like this high, about this wide, and big, about this long needle. Yeah. And he's holding this up like this, like it's a present for me. And I'm like,
hola, bon dia!
Lovely, and really looking forward to this moment. And he literally, and broke it, because most of them tried to speak English for me. But he literally in broken English said, he's holding this in his hand, right? He's staring at me and he's going, points at my hand and my wrist, and he goes, I will try, but if I cannot do it, I will have to cut off your fingers. I'm like, sorry, say that again, slowly, in English or Portuguese. So he said it again, I will try, but if not, I will have to cut off your fingers. And he's staring really seriously at me and pointing at my hand, and I'm like, and the other doctor like giggles and pushes him out the way and goes, no, fingers. Rings, because I got my engagement and my wedding ring on. And what he meant was, if he couldn't take the rings off, he'd have to cut the rings off.
Oh my
fingers. But when you're faced with this giant syringe and this doctor in his white coat looking serious.
Not
telling
funny.
you he's going to cut your fingers off. You kind of have a moment where you go, oh.
Right. And what's the big syringe? What was the big syringe for?
Oh, that was the local anaesthetic they shoved in before they tried to put it right.
No way. Oh my!
I was already on quite a lot of painkillers, so I didn't actually notice it too much. But I tried to look.
Sounds like you've been well treated by the Portuguese health.
They were, but the bizarre thing, and I can only kind of put it against what I'd imagine it would be like in Britain, having talked to friends.
Yeah.
They don't tell you anything.
Right.
Literally nothing. Doctors don't tell you anything. I learned that because they said to me, they tried to manipulate and they said, if we can't put it right, you'll have to have surgery. Okay. Yeah. So I go back into the A&E ward and they literally in the afternoon start wheeling me off again on the bed. And I'm like, where are we going? Oh, x-rays and scans, CT scans. And I'm like, what are you x-raying? Your lungs. And I'm like,
why?
1 and 1 makes 3. I'm obviously going for surgery then. But nobody came and told me that.
Okay.
And then literally they said the doctors met on Tuesday. And I thought, I'll get to meet the doctor and he'll tell me what he's going to do. Nope. The nurse comes around Tuesday night. You have surgery tomorrow morning. You're second up.
Wow.
Okay. Nothing. The doctor at the end, when I came round after the surgery, the nurses were amazing. They were brilliant in there. Yeah. I was really out of it for a long while. I came around and I saw the surgeon walking past the back. And I was, how did it go? Was everything all right? He went, it's fixed, and walked off. That was it. Literally, all he said to me, it's
like
fixed.
Your car.
And he looked like I was bothering him to ask. So,
yes.
I know.
What more do you want? It's fixed now. I've got work to do.
Literally. Yeah. And then the next day when I went back to the ward, the nurse came and they said, we need to change all the dressing. I didn't even know if I had a plaster cast on. It didn't feel like it. But it's so weird. It felt so heavy for quite a while. I couldn't tell. So when they took all the dressing, you'll see on the snapshot because there's a picture of it. They take all the dressings off, and I literally gasp in horror because I suddenly see all of these staples and stitches that nobody told me.
No idea we're going in.
No idea.
And a little sign, an autograph from the surgeon next to the work. How lovely. Well, yeah, and I think that is quite old-fashioned, isn't it? Yeah. And you just give up your body at the door. And then they work on it, and then you get it back at the end, and you're not part of the process in a way.
No, not at all, not at all. But I've talked to friends because I had a friend who said I had similar, and they showed me all the X-ray. They talked me through what they were going to do, and I kind of went, "I'm glad I didn't know." Fair enough. Out of this in a way, it's probably
do what you want, Doc. Do what you want. Yeah, I can.
I cannot fault, honestly. First time ever Portuguese health system, and every single person, even down to the guy that pushed my trolley out to the X-rays and stuff. They were wonderful, so kind, so caring. They took time with me. I really couldn't fault anybody. They were
very reassuring. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, and as Squire of the Shires is saying here, glad to see you're on the mend.
Yeah, thank you.
How lovely and how funny. Good recovery then. So it does sound like you're recovering well, and you're into the physio phase now, are you?
No, I've got to wait. They've said the end of April I can start physio. I've got to have a month of just resting and letting it heal because obviously I've only just had staples and the stitches out. So it's
all right.
I passed out when they took some stitches out. I literally passed out in the Centre de Saúde, the nurse, bless her. It was just so painful. I just
Okay, well, if you're having your breakfast at the moment, you might not want to don't look at this now, or if you're squeamish. Actually, no, I'm going to show it. I clicked on 2 pages there. Yeah. So there you are, explaining to everybody how your month went and off in a different direction to that which was planned. That is an incredible bit of work there, isn't it? My goodness. Okay, all right. Dreaming of summer already with the picturesque shot of Carvoeiro. That's what we're looking at there. I didn't recognize it from that angle. How was Dave got up there?
It's just that, you basically drive out through Carvoeiro and out onto the cliffs the other side. You can get up there. It's
all right. Okay. And quite rightly here, it's April here in Portugal. So a mention of the Carnation Revolution celebrations, 25th of April, of course, 25 de Abril. 50 years later. What's on your mind with this, Ali?
I always like to kind of pick up when the bank holidays are, to be honest, because I never pick them up otherwise. And suddenly you go to the post office and it's shut. And I know 25th of April is one of the biggest ones because obviously you get virtually every other street is the 25th of April somewhere. So it's just remembering it. But it was interesting because I'd never picked up the fact that the carnations, I know the story of the carnations were handed to the soldiers, and that's became the kind of symbol. But I didn't realize it was just a restaurant worker, a female restaurant worker that was handing them out. That was the initial start of it. I'd never picked that up before. So just interesting, isn't it? How the community comes together behind. And I know it wasn't completely without, people being killed and injured. Everyone calls it, a completely quiet coup. It wasn't quite, but it was compared with most end of eras. It was an amazing time. Me picking up on bank holidays, making sure we know.
So it's coming up. It's not long now, is it? 21 days to go until the Liberdade 25 de Abril, and some of Dave's wonderful photography. The lone white plastic chair. That's a stunning shot there, isn't it? As is the sun on the water. Beautiful photos. What can you tell us about these, Ali?
Well, it's just, obviously he hasn't been out much with his camera this month. Poor old Dave is doing pretty much everything at the moment. It's amazing what you can't do when you've only got one hand.
Yes.
So he's been pretty busy, but he did get out on the cliffs. This was actually before I managed to do some gymnastics. So he's went up just our local cliff path, really, Amarera, and then out. The sunset one is if you go Monte Clerigo towards Arafana, the actual cliff that you can see jutting out is the Ribat at Arafana, which is quite famous. It's
I think we talked about that before. Yes, the Ribat.
But that figure standing there, Dave didn't plan that. It just those two popped up perfect.
Looking out over all the kings of all they survey for a moment there. Beautiful. So yes, all the best to Dave. Let us know we're thinking about him and his extra duties and responsibilities. And this is Figs on the Phone Show. We've spoken to the folks from the Figs on the Phone Show here, and there's a bit of a workshop, a cookery workshop. It's an important part of what they do over there, the food, isn't it?
Yeah, they were really great. They asked Dave if they'd go over because they're going to be featured in the Sunday Times magazine, which is pretty impressive. So they said, can you come take some nice photos for the magazine? So it was an Ottolenghi, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Ottolenghi, love Ottolenghi inspiration. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I knew you like food, so I popped in because Dave said it was about 4 pages of the photos, but I thought you'd enjoy the food shots.
Definitely.
The whole idea is the workshop. You create the food and then you sit and eat it, which sounds pretty good.
Absolutely. So Middle Eastern, Mediterranean food, absolutely delicious. Looks great there. Well done, Dave. And in the studio we're here with Katerina. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, she's lovely. I really like her. She's Algarve based, and actually she's one of the artists who runs workshops at Figs on the Fun Show. So it all tied in quite nicely. And she's just someone who paints quite instinctively. And I haven't ever done one of her workshops, but other people have told me she's a really good teacher as well. She's a very inspiring person. She creates a lot of watercolors. And they're just very gentle, very beautiful work. So I really like her work. It's
bit unusual because the temptation with a haystack kind of landscape there would be to have a beautiful blue sky. But no, that's wonderfully rendered there, isn't it? Very nice.
Yeah, she's. I tried watercolor and I gave up and went into acrylics. And watercolor is actually a lot of people start with it as an artist, and I never recommend it because to do it well. It's actually a real skill because she paints what I call wet on wet. So she will cover the whole paper with water and then keep painting until the paper dries, if that makes sense.
Wow.
And all the time,
that can get messy, can't it?
Yeah, you've got to remember right from the start where you want to keep your lights because you can't put light back in with watercolor. You have to either mask it, which is a different technique, or you literally use the wet of the paper and you move your paint around. So all of that sky you can see on those haystacks, the lower part, she'll have to very carefully left a lot of the white paper in order to get that glow that you see on a good watercolor painting.
Right.
So it's not, I find it a very easy medium to work with. It's there's a real skill to me. I add light at the end of a painting. It's one of the last things I put in. So it's the complete reverse to the way my brain wants to create a painting with watercolor.
Right. So with a name like Olafia, where's she come from?
I don't know. know, actually. She's not Portuguese, but I'm not sure. So I always ask people to give me their history, and I let them tell me what they want to about where they're from. And
Yeah, fair enough.
But
yes, they might be an international spy, and you don't want to be.
She wants to keep a secret. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I'll find out for you. But I know if you want to learn how to do watercolor, she's a really good teacher.
Love that picture, and I do like her advice as well. Do you have any advice for an aspiring or hobby artist? And we're talking a lot about learning the language. It's the same with the language. Don't be afraid of mistakes, because in all learning Portuguese, there are no mistakes. There are only accidents, and each accident is the beginning of your style and interpretation of the reality. What a lovely way of looking at life, even. That is with Catalina Oliveira there, a watercolor artist. Where are we headed now? We're Algarve, are we? Oh, yeah, okay.
My home. Yeah, it's quite funny. The camera put out a really good video to promote the town, which I think is lovely. And they've done it a really good job. So if you get Snapshot, you can click on that top left picture there, and you can watch the video on YouTube. And I just shared a couple of our favourite shots of the town, because it's such an atmospheric place. I love it. I find it such an inspiring place, and I'm missing so much my morning walks at the moment because Dave's having to do them. Yeah. I need two good hands for Zara in case somebody else comes bounding up to her.
Yes,
I'm still so nervous, but those two on the right are kind of my morning walks. Those are the kind of views I get this time of year. Beautiful. Isn't it? It's lovely.
On that note of the video, of course, Snapshot is interactive, isn't it? So there are live links inside the publication.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
All over Portugal there, particularly in the south. The healing herbalist, going from figs and funchos. What is funcho? Fennel, isn't it? Who is this healing herbalist here?
Yeah, the funcho is the river. There's the Funcho River. Yeah, in the area. Okay, so she's amazing. She's called Daisy May. And she's in the Algarve near Messines. And somebody recommended me to go and visit her. So I did. I was quite open-minded, but not sure. I'm not. I want to try and keep my rheumatoid arthritis. I want to keep it, if I can, healing it naturally and not taking drugs. And she was recommended, and she has transformed my energy levels. I went and met her in November. She sent me a load of herbs through the post just in time for Christmas. So I've had a good 3 months now of the treatments, and I take every day. I have a powder that I mix in with my porridge, and I have dried herbs that I make tea with.
Porridge powder.
Porridge powder. I love it. Well, I asked her, can I put it in, because she was worried because all of the herbs that she's done it all individually for me. She took 2 hours to talk through my whole health history and my life and my lifestyle, and then she literally has packaged up herbs specifically for me.
How wonderful. Love the sound of that.
Fantastic. But the difference, my energy levels, and of course my biggest fear has always been, what if I really hurt myself? Because my rheumatoid arthritis doesn't understand how to manage pain or injury or problems naturally or normally. It goes ballistic. It's like, oh, there's a problem with the knee, bang, let's send the army and let's fire it up and let's inflame everything. And I can't believe how well I got through 6 days in hospital. It came out the other side, and how quickly, everyone has said how quickly my arm is healing. There's no, apart from bruising, which is normal, there's not been any swelling, there's not been any infection, nothing. It's healing really, really well. And I have to hand it partly to Daisy May and her herbs, because the difference I noticed within a month, my energy level just really went up and stayed up. I'd have good days before with rheumatoid arthritis, and then I'd have a really bad day. And I've really noticed that since I've been taking them literally every day, I've just felt that energy level's just gone back to normal. That's normal. So, I can do a job, and then I can go and do that now. I don't need to have a rest for half an hour. Or
I think you've got a lot of people at added energy. So if that's a concern for you, or just the idea of consulting a healing herbalist and you haven't been able to find one in Portugal, here she is, Daisy May, down in the south, a holiday in the Algarve, and a consultation with Daisy May, perhaps.
Yeah, she does. I think she'll do Zoom calls and she'll post, so you don't literally physically. But of course, the beauty of it is she's created a whole garden where she lives with, and most of the herbs she grows herself. So she is like she's trained 30 years experience in it. She knows what she's doing.
Yes.
And she treats a lot of people that have cancer. She says she doesn't treat cancer. She's very clear on what she can and can't do, which I love. But she says she'll help to build up your immune system so that you can actually protect, with the drugs or the treatment you're on, all of that. But she's, amazing woman. Really, really good.
Very good. Very good. Daisy May there. Okay. So we're looking at Ruka now. A bit of a backstory with Ruka, which reminds me here that it's a long overdue, but Jimmy has now had his chip and snip. I think that has happened with, I was going to say young Ruka, not so young Ruka here. Tell us more.
Oh, he's just, they don't know much about him. He's 12 this year. And I always feel so sad for older dogs stuck in shelters. They don't want their last years to be, on a concrete floor in a shelter. You want love, you want a warm fire, you want, some food in a bowl and somebody to walk you and love you. And he's just, isn't he a sweetie? Look at that face. Oh, he's just adorable.
He looks like an old British politician, doesn't he?
Wow. Winston Churchill's back.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't he? He's lovely. So,
lovely. So you can give him a home there at AEZA. That's our featured dog who needs a home this month, Ruka. Yep. Okay, Buddy's Legacy and Figs on the Fawn shirt again. What's happening here? So charity walk over there.
Yep. And Buddy's Legacy, I think we mentioned them before. It's just a lady in the Algarve. She's set up a really nice idea for a charity. She basically is looking for donations so that she can create a pot fund for low-income families who don't want to lose their dog or give it to the shelter, but can't afford maybe the treatment or even just sometimes, the annual kind of jabs and everything they need. And she's set up this thing called teaming, which I've heard of, but I've never looked at it before. But I've obviously gone in and done it for her. She's literally asking for €1 a month. That's all. And I just think surely we can all find €1 a month. And of course, that's the beauty of something like teaming. If enough people give €1 a month, if 1,000 people give €1 a month, imagine the families that we can help. And it's a coffee.
That's helping people give their pets. If they're struggling a bit financially, they can actually afford the healthcare for their pets there. Great. Is this bring your cat to a charity walk here?
I'm not sure if they'll enjoy you turning your cat or not, but it's Cheryl setting up it's a charity fundraising for the Silve Street Cats. There's a charity called No Ears Cat Charity. There was a very famous cat in Algarve who had no ears. White cats, problems with the sun. They can. So it's set up from there. It's quite. Most people in the Algarve know no ears. So Cheryl's just doing a walk and bring some cakes afterwards and raise some money for charity. Seems like fun to me.
That sounds like a joke, doesn't it? My cat's got no ears. How does he? It's like my dog's got no nose.
How does he smell? We know.
Right.
There's that ka-chug bang that you normally play with a terrible joke.
You got one there.
That's the one.
You can have 3 of those for that. Right. We are looking at Ivan's contribution. It's almond time. So we've got an almond recipe, have we here?
We have, it's just almond paste, and then you make it into a kind of rough cookie shape with a little peak on it. And I can never pronounce arapiados, I think is the way of pronouncing it.
Let's go with that then.
Yeah, we'll go with it. It's something like that. You know me in cooking, by the way. I just share these recipes. I never actually cook any of them. But,
fair enough. That does sound good, though, if you like almonds, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They will have a particular almondy and possibly marzipan-y flavour there.
Nice.
Getting serious now. There's somebody sat behind their desk here with a rather earnest look on their face. What's happening?
Yes, well, we always ask somebody every month to do their top 5. We ask them to pick 5 questions, tell us their answers. I looked up a word I didn't know. I can't pronounce this word either, and it's English. You get eloquent. Breviloquent. Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't speak much.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So he gave me quick, short answers, so I stretched them out a bit. But and he's a poet. He writes poetry. So I was expecting long ode answers, and I got, "What's your favourite food?" Sardines. Okay, fair enough.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. How are you? Well. This is a great interview. Do you like Portugal? Yes.
Yes. It was pretty much like that.
No. Would you like? Why? Do you want to say more? No.
What's your best golf course? You went Gramacho. Okay, fair enough. It's like, that's good to know. And
Who knew that 5 questions would not fill a
find your
page?
favourite beach, Caldwell. Okay, fine. We can run with
Thank you.
Caldwell. We all know Caldwell.
Well, if that's everything, I'll be on my way. Okay, bye.
Yeah, bang, slam the door. But no, he's a really nice guy. He writes really nice poetry. So I wanted to, obviously, that's the point of it, is I like to get their answers, but I like to be able to share a little bit about different people from the Algarve and what they love about it and why and what they get up to. So
fair enough. Barry Harris right there. And Cat's questions. What is the question here then?
Well, I just thought you'd like, I shared it mainly because it's Cat's questions. So we've got a dog called Cat, and the answers are from a cat called Bird. I like that.
Of course, well done. In a land of where dogs are cows.
Exactly. With dogs called Cat and cats called Bird. Yeah, fair.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, very sweet. Yeah, rescue cat. We always like to, but I love the questions. They're always fun because if they usually people really into the spirit of Cat's questions, so they answer as the cat or the dog, and come out with funny answers about their owners. It's always good fun.
Yeah. Dear old Cat, fantastic.
Yeah.
Hola, bon dia. Talking about the weather. How has your weather been? I mean, I've heard somebody say just in the last couple of days, their Portuguese teacher said they couldn't remember a colder, wetter winter than this one. Is it that your experience down there? I know you need the water in the Algarve, though, Ali.
We really, really need the water. We've looked at the reservoir levels and they're still below. It's so we've still got things like from June, we're not allowed to water the garden. You can't wash the car. And they brought in quite a lot of restrictions for the Algarve. And businesses, I know, are really, we've got a friend who's painter and decorator. And of course, you want to be able to, jet wash the building before you paint it, and they won't be allowed to. So we need that rain. But boy, has it rained. I think I've never known rain quite like it. Forget normal bouncing down rain. This comes, you can hear the wind bring in this storm of rain, and then it's literally like woof. And then you get about 10 or 15 minutes of like a torrential, tropical downpour. Bang. You can literally hear it banging as it hits the ground, and then it's gone. And it's not what I consider, normal rain rains. We get
wrong sort of rain.
That.
Yes.
Yeah,
And why can't it rain at night as well? Just keep all the rain at night and then
sun during the day. But yesterday was nice and sunny. We're a bit sunny today, but poor old Dave obviously trying to do property photography around the weather.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah.
Look at 4 apps and get 4 different forecasts. That's what we've discovered.
Well, it's so unpredictable, isn't it? And there we go. Rui and Joel at Practice Portuguese with your muito chuva, muito vento. Which are the key words of the moment. Okay, and of course you can buy Ali a coffee here because it's not about the money, is it? Snapshot.
It's about the cake.
About the cake and the love there. Okay.
Nice cake every month. Make sure I buy them a nice cake.
Yeah,
definitely.
Quite right too. And if people want to do a walk with Dave and Scott, by the look of it here, this is a lovely activity, isn't it?
Yeah, people are really enjoying it. We stopped for a while, but we've got it back up and running now. Anybody could come. You can bring any camera you like. We have people on their iPhone. That's fine too. And the whole idea is it's just a gentle, relaxed time with other photographers. If you want help, how do I shoot this? How do I get the best composition? What's this button on my camera for? You can ask Dave or Scott and they'll help you. But it's not set teaching. We didn't want it to be fixed. It's just, let's go for a walk. Let's see what we can shoot. Everybody, enjoys themselves. They end up having a coffee and a bit of cake afterwards in a local cafe.
It sounds like the men's shed idea on legs, and Silver's where you'll be photographed.
Silver's is brilliant. I mean, that's a great place, especially this time of year with the white storks nesting. It's perfect. So Friday the 19th, 2:30. We'll see you there if you want to come. It's we're by the car park by the Burger Ranch. Most people know where that is, so it's easy to find.
Burger Ranch, yes, I know them because they've got one in Caldash. The couple who run that, the family who run that, are really nice, aren't they?
Yeah, Burger. It's not. There's a lovely cafe down by the river that they'll probably end up in afterwards instead. But it's just an easy landmark to meet and a big car park. So
okay, all right. Well, thank you for my exclusive copy of Snapshot, and you can get yours if you check in the sleeve notes. You can get yours from Ali and download that with all the live links in there that we've been talking about. So have a great month and keep on healing well, Ali.
I will. Thank you.
We have the Marginal between Cascais and Lisbon will be closed to cars on Saturday between 9 and 1. Is that for cyclists? Is there a special event happening there? Going back to the men's shed, It's in the DNA. Men evolved killing animals and screwing to perpetuate the species. Well, that's not a very indelicate turn of phrase. Honestly. Women bore the babies and cared for them to assure their survival. Well, thanks for that.
Thank God for evolving a bit further along the line.
Yeah, well, things can come on a little bit, I suppose. One-armed boxing matches. No, they haven't come on. That's all. One-armed boxing matches. A backward step.
I can do that.
Especially for you, Ali, is the way to go.
Thanks,
to break the barriers down and get all that macho stuff out of the way. Totally exhausting and very funny. See you there, Ali.
Brilliant. Oh, can I tell you a funny story? That reminds me of something. When I came round from the operation, I sat back on my bed in the room, and the nurse came and wanted to just sort the bedding out. And he literally said to me, "Could you just move your hand like a little bit along the bed out of the way of the blanket?" And I in my head thought I was moving my hand like that. And what I actually did was, I'll do it with the other arm, bang, straight in my face. Because you have no concept of your arm because it's so numb still. You think you're moving it an inch, and it just swung. And I did it 4 times. I smacked and this poor nurse looked at me because I really hit myself hard in the chin because I just didn't know I was doing it. And I started laughing. So luckily he could laugh. But I'm like,
I'm thinking when the nurse stopped laughing because they're like and said to themselves, "Get some every time, get some every time." The old boot. Can you move? Apparently, as well as one-arm boxing, and we're learning more about men here. So the men were out hunting and bonding, and the women were back at the cave caring for the kids, and the home talking and bonding. Okay, well, yes, the origins of the men's shed right there for you. We'll leave it there this morning. Apart from, and Bob's so well-mannered, isn't he? Thank you for having me. How lovely. Pick up your party bag on the way out, Bob. And Bob also saying to you, glad that you're healing well. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tonight for the session with Philomena, and we're going to play you out with some ukulele, which is how I like to say it. Sounds a bit pretentious, but ukulele is a nice way to say it. Oh, Alyson, just joining your newsletter. Hope your arm heals quickly. And thanks, Carl, for a good show. It's a pleasure. Always fun hanging out and chatting with Ali here. Here's some ukulele and mandolin music for you. So, yeah, love to Dave. Take care and have a great time in the Algarve. And keep on healing. Ciao for now. Cheers, Ali.